Hello. So today we're going to be going through the rest of the Prolific Project series. And if you'll remember the last time, or I think from the Sanguine Prolific series, I said I couldn't actually go over the rest of this yet because I did the first game live, like while it was happening, and that should be up somewhere. Um, but then when I went to do the rest of the set, the replays had expired, and it's like when I entered the replay in the spectator password, it wouldn't work anymore. The replays were gone. But I didn't know the reason that the replays were gone was because Hi-Rez made demos out of them. So when you make a demo out of a game, you get this file that you can play in the client, but it removes the replay. So, I mean, replays still last 5 to 6 days, but now we can actually watch the games. So thank you to Kresnik for posting these and for Penguin for sending me them and making me aware that these actually exist because he wants to get roasted. So um, these all have file names and they're saved on my computer. So like if you do want to watch these, then you have to go find the files. They're in the PW on Discord if anyone wants to find them, or you can DM me or ask for the link somewhere and I'll send it to you. So we don't get to watch drafts, um, which is unfortunate, but this is as good as we're gonna get. So at this time, Prolific is up 1-0 because they won the first game on Frogile. So let's talk about comps. So we have Dive from Project with Rom, Ruckus, and Andro Corvus against a pretty beefy triple tank or triple DPS with Nando Vivian, Tyra, BK, Genos. So, Project win. I mean, they're a dive comp. They don't win by sitting on point. They have to kill the backline. So you're gonna be looking for Rom to go in first, take up a lot of space, and then let the Zin and Andro follow up and do their thing, make space for them to kill the backliners. And then from Prolific, you're kind of just going to be looking to kind of do the opposite, right? You want to play off point, force Project to dive you, and then when they do dive you, then you kind of just want to hope that you can deal with it pretty well. Like, you don't have great tools for dealing with it really well, but you also just have, like, so much damage on your team. Like, does he stick with Hunting Mark, actually? Because that affects... Oh, I didn't mean... I had Numlock on there. Because that actually affects how this is going to work a decent bit. Because if he goes DR, then he's trying to keep himself alive, and like they're just trying to, sustain. So there, he's out of spawn now. So he did stick with Hunting Party. Um, so they're going to be looking to survive the dive by essentially just like marking something and then immediately blowing it up. So Rom dives in. I mean, you don't have to go for the Rom, but let's say okay, we want to kill the Ruckus. You mark the Ruckus, everyone shoots the Ruckus, and hopefully the Ruckus dies. So this game is going to rely on how well Project execute their dives, if they're at the same time, if the tanks are the ones in front, if they're all on the same target. And then Prolific is going to be if they can survive the dive, like if their target focus is good enough and their positioning is safe enough to survive. I think Prolific's draft is a lot easier to pull off. So not sending Nando to point is interesting. I guess you don't want to just give up space super early. So already I don't like this from Project. Hero is starting main, and he's already taken like you see he's got a little mark on him, and he's already taken like 5k damage. That's pretty much all into the ROM there. So already the main distraction for Project is gone. It's just gone. Like this is gonna be very difficult to play into. Like project, like they have to be really good at their timing. And Hero went in a full second before G Bunny did, who went in. I mean, like look at what Prolific is looking at, right? Look at well, he's gonna be looking at the Ruckus. He's gonna be looking at the Ruckus. He's gonna be looking at the Ruckus. He's the tank. It doesn't matter as much, and he's looking at the Ruckus. I don't know what he's aiming at right now. And meanwhile, you have not in the fight, not in the fight. What went too early, the Ruckus, and not in the fight. So ideally, what this looks like is Rom dashes in, then Ruckus goes in, and then like as soon as the Rom and Ruckus start getting shot, then the Zin and Andrew appear and start shooting things. So like literally it's fine. Like if you're sending your Andrew around like this, if you're sending your Zin, like your Zin's not even in position right now, then it's fine for your tanks literally to sit there and do nothing until your DPS say, okay, we're ready, and then your tanks go, okay, 3, 2, 1. Or like ideally you have like some scouting, right? Like you say, okay, there's a Tyra in main. We're gonna go on the Tyra in main. Ready? Yes. Okay, go in 3, 2, 1, and then everyone starts screaming Tyra, 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 and hopefully a Tyra dies. So that didn't happen, and as a result, now you have G Bunny taking a 1v5. Like he dies super quick, right? But of course he does. Like that's exactly. I mean, Genos dies. I assume that was more an individual thing than anything. But like, yeah, you effectively took like a whole bunch of 1v their entire teams. So now same thing for Project. You want to set up again, not take too much poke. Zin using Whirl early isn't actually great. Okay, Rom's going in, but Andrew's not in the fight. Zin used Whirl. They're not ready, right? Like look how they're taking a poke fight, right? Why are you taking a poke fight against this much damage? You don't win a poke fight like this. Okay, Penguin. I wonder if rewinding demos crashes as much. Let's find out, shall we? So Penguin gets caught out. What happens to Penguin? Because ideally you want to set up back at your first rollout, which is like, oop, wait, how did I do that? Okay, I'm not too comfortable with EpiPen. It's like you had Genos and Tyra here, Vivian here, BK sort of on lip. I think Genos should be more over here, and like it's kind of rough because you want to be able to like contest point, but at the same time you don't want to like give up too much map control. So like, and if Tyra's by herself over here, then she's by herself against Dive, and that shouldn't really go unpunished. But there's nowhere else like you can really play her. So I mean, unless you want to stack DPS, which is like fine in this situation. So does Penguin like get caught out? Like he gets killed by Andrew. So he's taking a lot of poke. He's on low ground for some reason, which I think is the biggest reason. Yeah, so he doesn't really rotate in time. If this sort of thing happens and they all of a sudden have all this map control, you can't take this map control, right? Because then they're gonna have a whole lot of angles onto you, and it's just something's gonna die, right? You give up this much pressure, something's gonna die. But they're not contesting this part of the map anymore. So what you're gonna do, let's say, let's make like a box of their LOS is like this is sort of, and Hero was here. So like this is sort of the map that Project controls, and this is like the map that Prolific controls. I should have used colors for this. Project. So it looks something like this. And Prolific looks something like this. And then, so colors in. Just generally. And then both teams are contesting this area right here. So if you're prolific, what you can this looks like such a mess. um, if you're prolific, what you can do is rotate this way because you can essentially say like, okay, I'm gonna draw this a bit cleaner. You have this much space. Maybe that's not the best drawing. You have this much space. We have this much space. We want to go to over here where we can have this much space where we can exert pressure all the way over here because right now we're just going to get stuck in this corner. So if they make this rotation through docks up the stairs, first of all, product has to like waste time rotating back, and if they continue to push, then like you get this sort of poke fight, which is really favored for prolific because it's a poke fight. But they can't really like let themselves get like squeezed in like this super hard. Is the point basically? If you do get squeezed in, actually, so let's say you have this much space and project have like this. Oh, that's not the right color. And then product have like this much space. What you can do if you're prolific is you can like sort of force some out somewhere, so that they have to rotate like this, and then it's sort of you're trying to take some space back, right? So you put a lot of resources, say, into pushing out the ruckus, and just say, all right, we're gonna force the ruckus back, so we actually have some space to work with.
All right, they're getting hot. They're getting hot.
Ruckus kind of goes in by himself. Nando messes up. Like at this point, it's like really rough, and like the Project shouldn't be winning this sort of scrappy fight. Like if it's not a super clean fight, Project is really disadvantaged, which is like why I like Prolific's comp better. Stuff that's easy to pull off is generally better.
All right, they're getting hot. They're getting hot.
So like you see how light the Angel got to that fight, and like that's not ideal. Even now, right? Like it's a 4v3, and Prolific aren't like super scared. I don't like the timing of that all. There's gonna be another fight, and like that other fight is gonna be scrapping, or have a much better chance of hitting an ult in a scrappy fight than just out of the blue. Especially on a Zen, who can realistically use all 3 of his cooldowns to get away, because I assume he's running speed on counter. No, he's not, but if he was, okay, here we go. This is better. This is better. There, that's good. That's good. So I mean, yeah, they trade, but like that's fine, right? I will say though, if they waited like 2 seconds, waited for G Bunny to get in the back, this would have been 100 times better. But, like it was good enough. It was. Maybe it wasn't good enough. That's a big ult. Oh, because Cutie's gonna die. Yeah, he played his team in that space. God, this is gonna be a really weird game that I'm not gonna have much to say about. Like if you're a project there, like your mistake is that you didn't wait for G, but like you literally need like 4 people going in at the same time. Like why wouldn't you wait? And then Prolifics is just gonna be like, it's gonna be like how well they can punish different things and how good their target focus is, and that's really hard to like see from a third-person VOD. It's like again, right? Rom sort of goes in, and then is like his DPS show up when he's dead. And now this Vivian's gonna tear them apart because it's a Vivian who has Tyra marks and Luminary and his console, and yeah, it's just it's not great. Like these initial fights need to be so clean from Project. Oh no, we're staggering. Like Dive is a really fun comp to play, but it's so hard. It's so hard. So now if your Project, you need to dive something, and you need to, you need to dive that thing. Like, just pick something. Ideally, you'd want to get rid of the Viv, but you don't really have the mobility to cross, like, this entire space without dying by the time you get to, like, here. So your dive target is probably going to be the BK right here. So you're going to see something like ROM goes in this way, and then everyone else rushes the BK. And then when everyone's looking at the ROM, the BK dies, or something like that. So there goes the ROM, there goes the Zen.
Okay, real talk.
There you
I'm
go.
gonna stop this
Whoa!
fight.
I, whoa! Look at that! I'm kind of happy. I predicted that. Um, it's like that. That's fine, right? And now you keep going if your project like keep going on target. Okay, we're on Tyra now.
All right,
Tyra
they're getting
dies.
hot. They're getting hot.
And you get trades, but like, okay, it's not working out super well.
That enemy is unstoppable. Somebody do something. Look out.
Well, lost in that fight. Playing Vivian LOS? Maybe they need to go after the Vivian early? Could they have gone on the Vivian? Maybe their other lane need to go faster? Like, this is good timing here, right? It's a good ult.
Okay, real talk. Time to stop this.
Zen gets Billow forced because of a bug.
All right. They're getting hot. They're getting hot.
They lose Ruckus. Rom's died. I mean, yeah, Vivian's kind of just killing everything, isn't she?
That enemy is unstoppable. Somebody do something. Look out.
Huh. Hero's sad. Yeah, I really don't have too much to add to that. I think you might just need to go for the Viv. Um, even if it like looks really impossible. Like if you have the Zen ult, then like yeah, maybe let your Zen go for the ult on the BK, have Rom still go down main, and then have everyone else sort of like try to dive the Viv. Like,
Capture the respawns in 15 seconds.
it's just such a horrible comp to defend with because you have to cross so far to get anything done. Alright. So this time we've decided to stack aside. So again, if you're prolific, you don't want to get forced into this box. You want to leave and get some more space. Like you can like 2v1 this Ruckus here, right? Like you can force him back. So how prolific rotate? I'm gonna play this in slow motion. How they rotate is gonna be like the biggest story. Andrew dies some. How did Andrew die? So who peeks first? Yeah, he peeked before his Andrew or his Rom. There you go. That's your mistake. And like, yeah, it kind of sucks that like realistically, if it wasn't a, okay, I was gonna say make some excuse about concept. Like honestly, if you're peeking that, that's a mistake against any team. So they're getting a good fight. They didn't really build alts, but it's still a free v3. I mean, Ruckus died, but like that's fine. That's Ruckus. Then the Andrew dying actually just lost this fight for them, I think. That can get lifted. Did you really just try to ult the dashing Rom? That's ambitious. He resets, and now they've got to retake without ults. I mean, if Andrew's alive there, that they probably win that. Like they were set up in a pretty decent spot. I think sending Ruckus by himself was a mistake. Like I think you know how they played last round. You know that they put like everyone over here. So there's nothing contesting this entire area. So you definitely could have sent like Ruckus over here, Zin this area. I really like the play like through docks. I think that was good. So like then you send Rom, Andrew. Corvus probably goes up and looks for an ult like back here, so they don't have anywhere to back up to. And they actually and you like funnel them into these people down here, so they can't go through here. There's people there. They have to like back up here, but that's rough. They can't go through here. Like their only viable option is this way, and at that point they're running through main, and they should die for that. So Zin's gonna make space. Rux is going in, but like he's by himself. Why is the fight taking place over here? Like this is really weird. It's weird that Prolific is fighting it too. Okay, now as soon as I go to spectate it, the fight moves over. Okay. Zin dies. I didn't actually see that. Man, the DPS are just falling over, aren't they? Like Rom's just on point. Notice how they're like all low. Like Vivian and Tyra are both like 1 HP, so that shows me they're going on different targets.
Enemy dub, look out!
I feel like it's just gonna be the same mistake again and again, so let's watch some exciting Vivian gameplay.
Hold, brothers. Line in and get on the payload.
Tyra loves that. Wait, Tyra's still. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. How does Tyra.
Slash that payload tires. Top fair lady whilst high frag.
Using cooldowns before the fight starts. Oh, it's uncotted healing. Does he not have cauterize? Why don't you have? I mean, okay, fine. It's probably fine that he doesn't have caught. He just bought caught. But yeah, it just sucks in that situation because usually like you'd all be shooting the same target, so you don't need more than like 2 or 3 cauterizes. I like the choice of around 3. Not sure what more dashes does for ROMs because you want fights to be over so quickly. Anyhow, back to our regularly scheduled programming. That's good, right? They went on something. Yeah, they're not dealing with this Viv. Give it to him. Gato. Come on, man. Actually, yeah, that's fine. I would have stolen it too. You can't give someone on your team the penta. You just can't. Yeah, I don't really have too much to say. Like, how are you gonna dive this? This is really rough. Rom's gonna make an attempt. Just okay. So they killed him before Viv got value. You can also try to like just fight out of Viv LOS, but like at that point she rotates. Let's actually see what went different that fight. So what goes differently this fight compared to the last time I tried to defend this? So Tyra, okay, so they just I mean, they kind of just fell over. Like that fight took place sort of outside of Vivian LOS. So I think that's more prolific than anything. That it's like a sniper, right? Like it's the same idea that you want to be taking. You want to be taking fights outside it or in your DPS LOS. That was unnecessary, but okay. He got 50% back off that. Yeah, definitely hold up with your project here, because last choke sucks, and at least here you have more options to dive things. So Prolific's gonna 5 stack, and okay, so if your project, you kind of want to say, like, okay, we're gonna kill them, like, you want to fight them out in the open, because if they play in corners, or inside, they have, like, corners they can abuse, like, if you dive them, they can just go, whoop, and all of a sudden, like, they're safe, or you have to use, like, a lot more cooldowns to get by them or something. So you can say, all right, as soon as the squishy leaves, like, one of these doors, as soon as the squishy gets into, like, past one of these boxes, then we dive that squishy. And then you don't poke until then, and you just have someone, like, free peek, maybe you have your support free peek. I mean, it works out, but, like, they also got a really nice wrap, so. That's yeah. If you're prolific, you kind of need to do that. Um, but then as soon as you see them wrapping, then you need to say, okay, so we're in this room, and they're doing this and this. So if we stay here, we're gonna die. We're just gonna get pushed on both sides. Oh, that's not the color I wanted. We're gonna get pushed on both sides, and it's not gonna end well. So what we can do instead is just say, all right, well, we're just gonna push through really hard on one side and break these people, and that way, instead of getting pincered, all of a sudden we're basically rotating. So they kind of let themselves get collapsed on. Oh, they had to go for touch. So okay, good. I honestly didn't expect them to defend that. So let's see what they try this time. I think well, you don't have Ruck Assault, which is rough, but you do have Rommel. Um, so I think what you do is so I mean you want to get angles on them. They haven't rotated tree yet. Like they haven't made this rotation. That's not really a good arrow. More like this rotation. They haven't done that yet. So I try to take advantage of that. So they're gonna start up here again. If they don't, it's fine. Dive them where they are. So you could do something like, I definitely try to play around Core of Assault. Like you could say, all right, we're gonna Core of Assault here, and then we're gonna do Ruckus and Rom and Zin and oh okay, this isn't really like and like Andro. And then once once the call is made, I'm gonna draw this in yellow. This is gonna be the rotations. We're gonna have these two are gonna go like this. These two are gonna dive in, and we're gonna core of assault here. And in order, the core of assault and this push should happen. Like these all these things should happen exactly at the same time. The ROM should show up, the core of assault should happen, and the ruckus should show up with with both their tanks DPSs behind them. So ideally that all happens at the same time. So it's probably going to be like Hero saying, "All right, I'm starting to dash. I'll be there in 3, 2, 1, go." So I mean, it takes some coordination and practice to get that timing down, or like how each team wants to coordinate it. Then that's probably going to be up to them. But that's how I'd do it, and that way you kind of cut off each of the ways that like they can actually like get out, right? Because there's not these are the ways they can get out. If they're trying to get out, this way, then the Rux and Anti cover. You got Core Assault there, and then you have the Rom and the Zen going there, and you just try to pincer them because they're giving up so much map control. You might as well use it. And if you're prolific, you Nando ult, and you hope for the best. And you just hope that they make a mistake because if Project play this well, like if they play better than you, there's really nothing you can do against Dive. That's like the strength of it. If they pull it off perfectly, then like yeah, nothing you can do is gonna work. With this comp at least. Like maybe some other comps can do some wonky stuff, but so okay, so they're gonna okay. Frog is let's point out where he died. So he died right here, right? So like the nearest walls to him are like this. There's like this. You can't really take cover behind that. That's a lie. And then there's like this wall and over here, like that. And he's like miles away from any of them. So they say, hey, you know, let's just run into them, and they do. Um, so if you're prolific, like that's fine, right? Like you can catch them off guard. Um, but if you're Project, it's business as usual, right? Like you still want to have the wrapping and pinching going on because they have like this super heavy push going on right now, right? So you can either meet it with your own everyone, or you can sort of like pincer behind it, right? And have like a lot of angles. And here's just in the middle. And then imagine if like Frog got out to this corner or something and just buys time for these two in particular to get into the back line and kill the back line. So it's still the same like fundamental thing going on here. You can also just say, alright, they use every single ult they have, we have full comeback, let's like wait it out. It also happened like really quickly, so like good job on Prolific on their timing. Please don't hard zone. You have like no percent. Okay, so now, okay, same thing if for Project. Alright, they're hard zoning, but we can catch them out here and then get to point. So who do we want to, like, which lane do we want to force out? Just kidding, we want to get picked. Smile. These also sort of collapse on those two, which like that works out. Oh, do they not get touched? They do get touched, but now at that point they're in the middle of a poke fight. Side note: this positioning is atrocious from Prolific. You have like, why are you here? Like, is everyone like inside of the point? Is Genos inside of the point? Is that what I'm seeing? What are you guys doing? Like, I mean, okay, Ballin is probably just following his Vivian, but like, also, why are you here and not like in an actual safe spot in your backline playing together? Like, if they didn't have to touch, then this Viv dies because she's completely by herself. But as it is, they win because their comp like hard wins a slowpoke fight.
Enemy dub, look out!
He hit 2 flicks, not enough. All right, so I think teams honestly lack an understanding of how dive works. Like, I feel like before it's been like they sent Ruckus by himself a lot, and I feel like they are trying to get too cutesy with how they're playing it, and Sanguine just kind of like sat there and was like, "Yep, we're just gonna punish you being bad at this comp." And they drafted a really good comp to do that, and then they made a good play on like the third mid by going like super quickly, and that was really good, and it got kills, and it worked out. But also, it's like I feel like Prolific did a really good job of capitalizing off of Project's mistakes, but Project made those mistakes. So, yeah, you know? Alright, what are these called? Okay. And then we're on game 3 now. Alright, so oh, is this Ice Mines? Nice. Just now these people are up 2-0. So let's talk about comps. We have Ice Mines drafts, which are, I mean, they're not usually super spicy, and these aren't super spicy. They're pretty much the exact same comp, except Projects is a bit more aggressive, I'd say. So, Prolific is very standard. You've got Dredge and Barn with Anara, and they're like contesting. It's an I. They're contesting like this area. Then you have the Strix and the Corvus, and they're in this area. And then you have Khan, who's like contesting this area. And there you go. And you just chill. Because you have really good healing, you have really good tanks, like that. Your tanks hold space super well. You have DPS that actually suck to push into. Like, this is a really good draft from Prolific. I don't know how they got it. Project, pretty much the same comp, right? Like, it's pretty much mirrored. You got Fernando and BK, and they're controlling the mirror image of that from Prolific. Then you have Victor, and you probably actually have this the other way around. You have Grover, Victor, and Ash, and then the Ash is controlling this area, Victor and Grover in this area. These are literally the same comps. So now it's like, all right, what are the win conditions? Because both teams can't have the same win condition. Because if both teams are just saying, we're going to win off playing off cap really slowly, then one team's just going to do that better than the other team. So in this case, I think it's prolific because I think Dredgenar Corvus has a like. I think the Strix can do really well into the Victor. I think the fact that Nando can't really do damage while he's mitigating things is really rough. And so I think that means I don't know like there's so many factors at play, but I just think prolific burns point better. Like I think that they're more beefy, they have more damage, more resources. It works out better for them. So if you're a project, that means you don't want to play off point, you want to play off your ults. And you want to play aggressively, but you play aggressively with your ults. So you have Nando BK combo, you have Ash ult to make space, and then that will let these people sort of rotate this way. You'll have your Ash push up here. But then you also have Con ult to respond to that, which is not great. You also have like Dredge can TP out of BK ult, and Ara can DR or wall it. You have Victor ult, which like does well into Strix if you can catch him out, but that's not always going to happen. It's not super consistent. You have Grover ult, that's probably going to be used to counter an Anar ult or Corvus ult, or one of these two, or if you just ever get low. So I think it's up to the project to make something happen with their ults. And I think the best way they're going to do that, to clear up some, like you're just going to get rid of the drawings to clear up some space, is they're going to use Ash ult like this, and you're going to have Victor push up to like, they're going to try to basically just get control of this area with Ash ult. You can have BK push through, or you can have Ash like, if she can get more Master Eye and just like dash like this and up into windows, then it's really difficult for Khan to actually get an angle, and all of a sudden you don't have a strict shooting thing, so the Victor over here is going to be free to either shoot a whole lot of things, or he's going to be free to rotate like this. So I think Ash ult is how Project win this game, so if they ever go into a mid without having it, it's going to be really rough. And if Con ult can ever counter that, then it just kind of illuminates how Project win this game. So both teams can get good dismounts. Grover's a bit less consistent than Corvus, but that's fine. I swear to God, it's such a pet peeve of mine that supports don't start master writing.
Alright, y'all, it's game time.
Like just imagine how this mid would go if one team got master writing. Okay, cool. Nando's dismounted. Wait, did they both start master? They did. Okay. So if you buy master writing, then your team, like let's say if the Grover got master writing, then his tank would have an advantage. Or if the Corvus got master writing, then Anara still has an advantage because he just went straight to point. So the Ash would still be like over like here, and might have to use. I mean, she probably wouldn't use dash, but like she'd at least be late, so that buys more time for your team. The Victor taking space aggressively. Okay, so the first issue I see with this is Anara is doing very classic. I'm just gonna stand here while my team gets pinched on. First of all, I have no idea what G-Bunny's doing. Like you have these people's attention all going this way. You have nothing contesting this area anymore. The Nando BK are creating so much space. Like you've got Victor who's free down here. It's like if you have an Ash and Victor and they both decide to run at this con, all of a sudden it's not feeding into their lane where like the Corvus and the like these two cannot help anymore. They're dealing with their own problem. So this con just dies. Oh, wrong color. This con either just dies or has to give up a lot of space to live. So like this part is really good. This is really good. This part is really bad. Like you get a pinch going here, right? You don't win off point. Don't play off point, right? Okay, so there's this fight going on. Wait, hold up. There's an interesting rotation. Oh my God, he's pinched their pinch. How did that happen? Hold up. Did he just? This is. I don't know how I feel about this rotation. I feel like they can kill him if they just chase. Oh, they could definitely kill him if they just chase. What are they doing? But instead they decide, no, we're just gonna go this way instead of killing Penguin. Might want to buy Nimble next, so you can live that next time. Let's see how this collapse goes. Nara's sort of running at your Grover. That's fine. So okay, this is good. But how did Hero get on this side? Because all of a sudden, now you're not pinching them. You're just like fighting head on into like their entire team, and you don't have your DPS with you, right? So both these tanks. How did Hero get on the other side? Like, what happens here? I don't really have a good camera angle for this. Can I do this? Is this okay? So like, Frog just decides to leave, and also notice how like these people are free to back up here. Okay, I just noticed G-Bunny actually. These people aren't actually free to back up here. Could you imagine if like instead of Nando and BK having to leave, you just had a imagine okay, like this is let's imagine this is the BK's POV. And you're standing right here and you have a big Fernando shield right in front of you and nothing can shoot through it. These people are all dead. This is a really poorly executed pinch from Project. It started off so well. Okay, just kidding. It worked out kind of sort of. You traded supports, but like at the same time, why did everyone just decide to drop? Ooh, he gets a pick around the corner. So if you're prolific, what you could have done better in this situation. First of all, recognize that you're being pinched and realize, hold up, we can't let this happen, right? We can't just take a fight on two sides in this little area right here, right? We're not going to win that. So then you need to push out a side so you don't just like give up all your space. It's like this rotation is good, right? This rotation is good. So either you need to have your Inara actually like stop the aggression here so they don't get behind you in the first place, or once you are here, you need to say, okay, we're just gonna like push out here, or okay, we're gonna push out here. Like if you could easily collapse on these people right now because G-Bunny is off in no man's land, he just decided to put like 600 damage into a DR Dinara for funsies. The Grover gets behind and does the damage. Actually, you need to kill the Corvus. That's actually crazy. But at this point, I mean, I guess the flank did enough. So yeah, if you're prolific, don't let that happen or collapse on a side better. Like they just kind of sat there, I guess. And now that should be you should be able to hard zone if your project. Oh, actually no, they have enough people alive. Just kidding. So now, if your like it's okay, reset back to the initial fight. Also, like noticed how G-Bunny dropped the same time as Rock peaked, and then Rock took 1200 damage for no reason. It's kind of rough. What are these rotations? Like this is good from Project, right? Like they're taking space. They've got this pinch going on again. But and it results on Jigenzi dying. This is okay because like you had like this sort of rotation, or maybe not that sort of, but like you had like almost no, hold up. It was more like a this, and then Project went like this. So you had like all of a sudden Prolific is flanking their own backline. Um, this is like so not clean from either team. Like if you just play like if you play clean and you play like nice and crisp, then these weird situations where like everyone is everywhere like shouldn't really be happening. Like, what's the plan from projects offline right now? Do you want to hold this space? Okay, we're pushing the Strix. Go, go. Like, you actually have like a team prolific sandwich here right now. So, you lose one. There's a disconnect between the prolific offline, which works out for them, but it's kind of lucky considering they both kind of matched up into like they got into favorable matchups. Like if the Grover wasn't wide peeking main, or if it was the Ashe there instead of the Victor, this goes a lot worse for them. Like imagine if Strix or Grover was around the corner, like he can get around a corner and like probably live, right?
Alright, they getting hot, they're getting hot. Enemy dub, look out!
This is so weird, man.
Alright, they getting hot, they're getting hot.
It's like whatever Prolific does, they need to like do it together. Like it feels like they don't have someone calling like the big macro plays, right? They're not saying, "All right, we're gonna rotate here. We're gonna push this." It's like less, like more shot calling and more and less IGLing, you know? Yes, BK ult getting value. I don't know why Project took a fight there in the first place. Like that's not a choke point. Why would you fight there? Like Prolific kind of just sort of happened to be like rotating and it worked out for them. Like you can wait until the actual corner, or you can like hold up there and then make it like really awkward for them. But there wasn't really any need to push past that. And now you're still waiting on respawns and you're losing like this choke. That's a good con out. Does he have follow up and does he live? Also interesting note is that we've seen two different people play off tank for Prolific. We've seen Kumu / Ratatouille, then we also seen Penguin. Is Strix just walking down main casually? He just goes in and oh my god, dude. This is so messy. Does he live? Why do you go for more? You just killed two, man. Just chill. I mean, okay, like no one's together. People are pushing into weird sides of the maps by themselves. Strix is still on the other side of the map. Let's wait for him. Perhaps, yes. Maybe. Anyone wanting to take 5v5s or five like have your entire team alive? No. Oh, if that hits him. Okay, cool. But you gotta pick on the oh, okay, probably gotta pick on the support. I didn't actually see that, but same difference. Wow. Can you imagine if you had Strix alive? That'd be really cool. So now, if your project, oh my god, don't push up. What are you gonna get by pushing up? You're just gonna take a fight at the worst choke. Like, this is one of the hardest chokes to break in the main, because you have Victor here, you have BK here, and you have Ashe, and you have Fernando who can drop if he needs to, and then you have Grover. Like, and it's such a tough choke to break, but because you got greedy, all of a sudden like you're fighting up here for some reason, right? Like why are we fighting out up here when we could just be fighting in here? Like okay, fine, they went for stagger kills, they got them. Please back up now. You're already staying way too far. If you're prolific, your goal this fight is you want your own super powerful like hit scan set up here. You have Dredge, you have I'm gonna have Corvus push for a while and then he'll rotate to one of the high grounds. Probably Khan over here, and then Anara over here, and then drops to cap once it gets to OT. And then you're just trying to get your Strix to get some good angles on the people on stage, which is gonna be like this little area right here. So this I hate when off tanks play over here. I think it's bad and easily punishable. You can just say, "Hey guys, let's shoot the Ashe," and then where does the Ashe go when she gets like she's okay? So like if you get focused as the off tank here, which they can do, like there's nothing you can do to stop them. Where do you back up to? Like if you're Ashe, you dash, dash here. Okay, cool. Now you got your Ashe here, and she's not doing anything, not doing anything. So like the reason that you want your main tank contesting here is so that if they drop, you still have pressure over here, and like I'd argue this is the more important side because if you win it, you can push up and get cross angles, which affects like if you have control over this space, you can pressure this space pretty safely. Um, but usually what happens is Ashe is like your off tanks, they get pokes out, and then you have like two tanks playing like this side of the map, and you just entirely give this area. I don't like that the dredge is up here instead of the I feel like you want the Strix up there. So we've given up this entire side here. So like Strix is gonna come in for free and get like a really nice angle on people. And he can communicate that too, and then they can push at the same time the Strix peaks. Like nobody on this team is using cover. The Strix get pokes. Okay, now they're just garbage positions because Strix is on low ground and Grover almost dies. That would have been scary. I mean, yeah, Prolific didn't really ever get set up. They sort of ran into, like, they didn't punish Project because they sort of just matched them and then had an Anar on cap, not really contesting too much. So it's, you know, it's kind of rough. If you have the Dredge up on the other side, then, like, you can still punish them giving up that lane, right? But they just didn't really hold that well. Like, that's super punishable. The amount of, like, punishable mistakes and, like, basic rollouts and how understanding how comps work is, like, really frustrating to me. Any dismounts? Any dismounts? Grover has Master Riding, but it's not enough Master Riding because Anar has more. And he didn't even get dismounts. Or did he? Ashe has a lot more space. So we're going to push aggressively. Nano BK, very cool. So, okay, they traded. So now if you're Project, you say, okay, cool, we can come back with Ashe ult. They just use Con ult. We're free to Ashe ult and take space. We can soft reset and come back. And we also have, like, it's a 4v4, yes, but we also have, like, most of the map patrols. So doing something like trying to play aggressively right now is only really going to get you punished because you're feeding when you don't need to. Or you're playing aggressively when you don't need to. Oh no. Okay, that is unlucky. Oh no. Hero ate the vine and Cuscutie died because of that. But they also only died because they went aggressively when they shouldn't have. And honestly, that's a kind of a theme that I'm noticing with Project is that they do a lot of playing aggressively when they shouldn't have. When they shouldn't, they don't need to. So if I'm, say, another PPC team and I'm playing Project, then that might be a weakness that I like to exploit. And if I'm playing against Team Prolific, it's the fact that they don't know when to they don't know when to soft zone, apparently. Because our Project 100% gets touched, at the very least with Ashe ult. And now you're just playing in really weird spots.
Alright, they're getting hot.
Okay, cool. I mean, yeah, whatever, that's a pick. Got the strings.
Alright, they're getting hot.
The speed card is so good. This fight was over, like, the moment the Grover pick happened, right? Like, no matter what you do, you're just gonna die slowly because, like, you need the Grover heals against this sort of comp. Like, this comp is so much damage. It was, like, a good attempt from Project, though.
Quit whining and get on the payload.
Like, the nice, like, it was the right rotations. Then Prolific should have been soft zoning instead. They should have been set up for a new fight. They weren't, and they almost lost the fight because of it. They would have probably lost the fight if they didn't get the pick on Grover. So again, you win a slow fight. Where do you want to push? What else do you have? You don't really have any ults. Penguin playing with fire. Yao kind of got disconnected from his offlane there. Or not disconnected, but like split. Also, sending Strix in at close range is kind of rough. Like, if anything, I would switch DPS up for this part of the map. It's 4v4. I don't know about command ults here. I ain't got a kill on the BK. You can keep an R alive. I guess they won that. Good call. No, this should be at last choke. This should just be a stagger. Right? Right? Does an R die? Yeah, okay. Okay. Let's see if Rock Monkey takes the smart spot. Come on, Rock Monkey. Rock Monkey, no. No, the other way. Yes. Yes. But more. More. Now up the stairs. No. Okay. Let's quickly look at what's happening in the fight. Like, he just wants to be, like, right here. Super safe spot. And it's like the same angles and you're much safer and it's very good, very good. So yeah, what is going on up here? Prolific is stacking a lane again. So if they're too aggressive when they don't need to be, like, why is Ashe there? Why is she playing aggressively when, like, you really don't need to? Why is BK ulting through main when the other team has a Strix? This is more like making me mad than like any any like value I'd get out of it. Because like these are mistakes from people who just don't care. And Prolific, like, yeah, they stacked, which I don't like, but that's, I mean, it's not good either. But like, if I don't know, product mistakes are dumber. Like, not knowing how to hold, I'd argue, is worse than not knowing how to push. If it was a call made that you want to stack DPS and run over the Ashe, maybe that's fine. But it shouldn't work because the BK and Fernando should just be able to wrap behind you and get a really good angle there. So, full comeback mechanic. You know they'd use con ult. I'm expecting a super aggressive Ashe ult on stage, Victor pushing up, and then knowing these teams, Project's gonna get some kills. They're gonna play too aggressively, and then the Strix is gonna walk into the backline and kill 3 people. Again, I'm gonna keep mentioning that dismounts are a thing that exist. Any Ashe ulting? Oh no. So instead of Ashe ult getting value and letting Strix push up, the Victor push up, which I don't like the target on the Strix because it means that, like, okay, cool, I mean, you probably kill Strix here, right? Does he have Rizal? Yo, he has Rizal free. No, you might not even be able to kill. But the point is that, like, even if Ashe hits that, okay, I mean, Strix probably dies. But like the idea there that, like, okay, I'm gonna take out their DPS and ignore their off tank means that their off tank can, like, sort of ignore you and focus on their DPS. But Ashe is, I mean, we got this collapse going on again, right? I mean, Strix has made a good rotation. What's going on in these fights, man? I mean, Ashe ult made no space, right? Like, you sort of had like this sort of like crisscross sort of, or hold up, yes, sort of like this crisscross over here on wrong color. You had like a crisscross. It's not a straight line, but whatever. You had this over on stage, and then you had like this weird like, oh, like even sort of fight over here. And then Prolific won it because let's actually go, because I was like paying attention more to stage because I think that was going to be the more impactful bit. So this is right after Ashe ult misses. Overall, everyone's mostly at full HP. Corvus TP's out. Victor dies. So like you can kind of see like what the impact of the Ash missing, right? Because Ash went bonk and is now down here. Comment like this. So now Strix is free to take this angle, but the Victor has to rotate all the way back, um, or through main, which is like really risky, and he dies for it. It's like that Ash ult missing is actually so bad. um,
That enemy is
Anara sort
unstoppable.
of
Somebody do
follows.
something.
I'm not really sure where Nando is actually. So like, if you're gonna be pushing this, like, you have your BK pushing this way, and then your Nando kind of went this way, which I think is probably the biggest issue that I see. Because like, if Nando follows up, like, there's so many things that are 1 HP. Like, if your Nando's here, like, Corvus might die, maybe not.
Okay, real talk.
But instead, he just kind of gets 2v1 by the Con and Strix. Okay, so I mean that was just a story of the off tanks, I think. Can you hard zone?
Okay, real
Not
talk.
any. Well,
Trust that guy.
I'm gonna say yes, because if you have everyone hard zone, you can suicide zone for it, and then suicide zones can always buy some time. Yeah, I was a bit late on the call, but yeah, suicide zone works there. Um, I'm really not impressed by what I'm seeing from Project, and I don't like that. What game was that? That was game 3? Wait, is that the series? Am I dumb? Yeah, that's a series. Huh. Would you look at that? Alright, well, hope you guys enjoyed then. That was anticlimactic. um, so yeah, there's some kind of fundamental mistakes about how pinches work, how to defend certain chokes, um, and I don't know what to think of that because on one hand, these are like, what's that roster? Like, you had Rock Monkey, T Mac, Cuscutie, Hero, G Bunny. So like on one hand, these are PPL players that like I've looked up to, right? And I've watched them play, and they've been playing this game for so much longer than I have, and they've always been, they've been PPL when I was not even in a league. But then on the other hand, I watch them play, and they play like that, and I don't know what to think of them anymore. Like, and it makes me wonder if they don't know what I'm talking about, or if they just don't care, or have forgotten, or you know, because realistically, like, if they cared, then I wouldn't really be able to point out their mistakes super well because these are players that are supposed to be a lot better than me, but they're not looking like it. I don't know, man. PPL, like, the PPL teams are just gonna go 5 and 6, fifth and sixth place, in my opinion. So yeah, I need to stop watching their vods, man. It's just making me sad. Anyhow, I'll see you guys next time.